Hey there, Trisha Peridot. I wanted to just have an intimate conversation, and so I decided I would just take a minute and make a recording because I think it's really important that we can talk about these things. I was doing some reflecting on where I started and how I got here and what my purpose is and who I am as a person and how I see myself now versus before. But really, it just brought to light that there's so many people out there that have or are experiencing the same kind of thing that I was. And that's, I didn't know who I was anymore outside of my role. So I was super lonely inside. I have 5 children and a husband. I don't know why I was lonely, except for the fact that, empty nest, and they had moved out and they were growing up and they were moving on with their lives. And so that day-to-day interaction, changed, and it shifted and it morphed, and so that change was difficult for me, and so not knowing who you are outside of your role in life. Like, I didn't know who I was outside of being the CEO of the home, and being a good wife and a good mother that was there to take care of everybody else's needs. And so when those voids started appearing and when those voids started getting larger, I feel like it exacerbated things that were already there from, early or adolescent and early adulthood traumas that were left unaddressed. And so, people say, well, how did your family make it through? You're not divorced and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, there was no trauma. There was no drama, to the family. Sure, I let them down in a few ways and could have been better. But for all intent and purposes, the family is strong. It's a strong unit and super loving. But again, we get back to that place of void. And when they were growing up and moving out and going off to college and starting families of their own, it changed our relationship. It changed my role in life. It changed my purpose in life. And I wasn't prepared. I just wasn't prepared. And so it exacerbated, or I allowed it to exacerbate things that were already, coping skills and coping mechanisms from, again, that adolescent, early adulthood, traumatic experiences that I had developed coping skills for that were improper and not, highly recommendable. And so, sitting there and going, wow, what is my purpose? I don't know what to do with myself. What do I do today? And so, I started engaging in things outside of me to fill the void. Like, I'd go shopping, and my husband would come home from a trip, and a room would be completely redecorated, or I'd stage a little area in the backyard and make it look like a picture in a magazine. And ultimately I ended up returning a lot of things because we didn't need them. They were usually more expensive than we would have ever spent, or my husband wasn't part of the picking out process, and it just wasn't his taste. He didn't like it. And anyway, so there was a lot of, I got to go to the store, I got to go do errands. And it was just, this, I always had to be somewhere, do something to distract me, to numb me. And which leads me to, like, wow, I'm just cleaning the house. Nobody's going to need me. I don't have to go anywhere. I'm just going to have some beer. And wow, you know what? I'm going to, bake a bunch of cookies. There's not going to be anybody here to help me eat them, but I'm just going to bake a bunch of cookies and I'll just eat them myself. So, there was just a lot of things. And I think it's that, that horrible empty void that gives us this gut-wrenching pull to seek something, anything outside of ourselves. It could be exercise. It could be, taking on a new project at work that we don't have to. It could be taking on a second job. It could be, I don't know, it could be anything, but anything to fill that void so that we're not left alone with our mind and the thoughts and the empty feelings and the emotions that are hurtful. And you know, I'm trying not to get too far down the rabbit hole, but you know, if you say to yourself, what brings me true joy? What do I like to do? What are my hobbies? What are my passions? What are my beliefs? Where do my values lie? And you really have like a hard time. Or if you say, wow, you know, my social life really is fulfilled through work, and I really don't have any social, you know, interests, you know, and things like that. You know, we want to look at that, and it can get better, and we can find things to fill our void that are appropriate, that aren't masking. And so, you know, I just wanted to share. And thanks so much for listening. I hope that, you know, if anything, I've inspired you to take a look at where your fulfillment comes from, where your happiness comes from, how you find joy, and ask yourself, how effective are they, and are they working? Because for me, they weren't working, so I had to make changes. I mean, clearly it's not going to work to overshop, overeat, and overdrink, right? um, that's not lifelong manageable and maintainable. And I think that's really the message here is, you know, what am I doing in my life? Is it lifelong manageable, maintainable, and is it fulfilling? Is it self-defeating? Is it avoiding? And is it filling a need, filling a purpose? And you know, why do I have this in, you know, in my life? So anyway, I look forward to having conversations with you. But for now, I'll leave you with that. Be well.